Hi, I'm Rich Jones with Express US Sports, and with the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season right around the corner and a new format with the return to the chase, I've taken a look at 4 drivers that I think are going to take a step forward and surprise a few people when the action gets back underway. First off, we've got Shane van Gisbergen in the Trackhouse Racing Chevrolet. Last season's Rookie of the Year in the Cup Series. He's been one of the real stories of NASCAR since he came from Supercars a few years ago, but I think with the end of the winning you're in format, a lot of people are struggling to see a way he makes it into the postseason. But, you know, this new format's really still going to reward winning, and it's hard to see any of that road course prowess and firepower going away. He won 5 races last season, but he also made some real strides on the other tracks. He showed flashes of his potential on the intermediate tracks and the drafting tracks. He also looked solid on the shorter tracks. I mean, he ended the season with a 10th at Kansas, 11th at Talladega, 14th at Martinsville. They're not results that jump off the page, but you can see the improvements there. And going into a new season, along with the wins he's inevitably going to get on the road courses, I do see a scenario where he can be really around that bubble and fighting to make the postseason. Even if he doesn't get in this year, I think we're going to see him take another step forwards. Second is Bubba Wallace. Now, Bubba had a really interesting year last year. He was pretty boom or bust at times. He had some really good results, a few really bad results, a few DNFs, but I think we saw that the speed was there in that 23-11 Racing Toyota. He probably ran a lot better than his teammate Tyler Reddick on speed for most of the season, which I don't think many people saw coming. And after an awful mid-season run, he had that really good win at the Brickyard 400 and took a real step forward from there. Going into the second year with his crew chief, Charles Denike, and we heard last year Denny Hamlin, co-owner of the team, talk about how he thought that Denike could be a game changer for that team. I think we saw the first steps of that last year, and as they build into a second year working together, I can only see Bubba Wallace going in one way, and that is up. And I think he could be a real dark horse to be a contender next year, especially now some of the off-track distractions for the team with that lawsuit are out the way. Next up is John Hunter Nemechek. Now, Legacy Motor Club have had a tough couple of years in the Cup Series under Jimmy Johnson since the switch to Toyota, but I think we saw last year a real step forward from the team. They were a lot more solid. They built on their speed on the short tracks. They were, good at intermediate tracks, and I think that was mirrored by Nemechek, who, cut out some of the silly mistakes, looked a lot more composed. His racecraft improved, just put together solid finishes with the car he had last season. He's got a lot of continuity in that number 42 team with crew chief Travis Mack, and I just think Nemechek's well placed to take another little step forward next year. He's not going to be sort of battling at the very front for the championship, but I think this can be a year where Nemechek continues his development and continues to prove some people wrong. I think that number 42 team certainly has a capability to get into victory lane at one point in the year and give Nemechek his first Cup Series win. That's one of my bold predictions for the year. And finally, Joey Logano, a multi-time Cup Series champion, but I think the fact that his last win in 2024 was so controversial in terms of the one-race championship format and where he would have been in points over the whole season. I think a lot of people are forgetting just what he's capable of in that number 22 Ford for Team Penske. His crew chief, Paul Wolf's one of the best in the business. Logano's got all the experience and all the tools to be one of the best in the business. And I think with a new format, we're going to see that team really adapt and really hone in on making the most out of that format and getting the best out of themselves in that car. Logano, he didn't advance in the playoffs, but he actually did finish the season really well. He had some really good results after his championship hopes were over. Couple of bad races in the playoffs really cost him, but overall that body of work over the last 12 races was probably better than a lot of people expect. He had 5 top 5s in the last 12 races, 7 top 10s, and I think going into the new year there's going to be a points proof for Joe Logano, and I think it can be a big year.